In November 1953, an American biochemist named Frank Olson plunged from a 13th-story window of a New York City hotel. Police investigators labeled the death a suicide. They were unaware that Olson had been the subject of a clandestine experiment just 9 days earlier. His death stands as a window into a period of American history where national security interests routinely overrode the safety of individual citizens. By the early 1950s, the loss of the U.S. nuclear monopoly had created a pervasive atmosphere of fear. American intelligence officials became convinced that Soviet and Chinese forces had mastered brainwashing techniques to control the minds of prisoners of war. To counter this perceived threat, the CIA initiated a series of top-secret programs aimed at developing a truth drug that could strip away a subject's will during interrogation. These efforts relied on expertise from Operation Paperclip, a program that quietly brought former Nazi scientists to the United States. Some of these men had previously conducted mescaline and torture experiments on prisoners at the Dachau concentration camp. The American government adopted these wartime methodologies, shifting the focus of mind control research onto its own unsuspecting public. On April 13, 1953, CIA Director Allen Dulles authorized the launch of Project MKUltra, placing chemist Sidney Gottlieb in charge of the operation. The project operated through 80 separate institutions, including universities, hospitals, and prisons across the United States and Canada. The CIA masked its involvement by funneling millions of dollars through front organizations. This layer of secrecy meant that even the academic researchers often remained unaware that their work was being used for intelligence purposes. Gottlieb believed LSD was the key to unlocking the human mind. He directed the agency to buy up the world's entire supply of the drug, paying $250,000 to corner the market. Research then moved into the field, where agents administered LSD to mental patients, prisoners, and members of the public without their knowledge or consent. Under Operation Midnight Climax, the agency established safe houses in San Francisco, lured citizens inside, and secretly dosed them with LSD to observe their behavior through one-way mirrors. MKUltra effectively turned everyday American life into a vast, invisible laboratory where citizens functioned as disposable test subjects. The CIA exported its most extreme psychological experiments to the Allen Memorial Institute in Montreal under the direction of psychiatrist Donald Ewen Cameron. Cameron focused on a technique he called psychic driving. His goal was to achieve de-patterning, the total erasure of a patient's existing personality to prepare them for reprogramming. Patients who sought help for minor anxiety or depression were instead subjected to massive electroshocks and forced into drug-induced comas that lasted for months. While comatose, subjects were forced to listen to looping audio recordings that played simple, repetitive statements thousands of times, attempting to overwrite their memories. These methods left victims with permanent brain damage, amnesia, and incontinence. The program prioritized systematized psychological destruction over legitimate medical care. This environment of absolute secrecy eventually collided with Frank Olson. By 1953, Olson was experiencing a severe moral crisis regarding his role in developing biological weapons and the nature of MKUltra's research. After he voiced concerns to his superiors, Olson's own colleagues secretly dosed his drink with LSD. The drug triggered a psychological breakdown that preceded his fatal fall from the hotel window just 9 days later. Olson's death was not a random tragedy. It was the inevitable result of an intelligence agency operating with total impunity. In 1973, the Watergate scandal sparked a government-wide panic. The CIA feared that its decades of illegal domestic activities were finally about to be exposed. To prevent an investigation, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered the immediate destruction of all files related to Project MKUltra. The agency attempted to erase its sins by incinerating thousands of pages of research data, participant names, and funding records. But the purge failed. In 1977, a Freedom of Information Act request uncovered a cache of 20,000 documents that had been misfiled in a financial records building. This accidental discovery provided the evidence needed for the Church Committee and the Rockefeller Commission to launch public investigations into the agency's conduct. A clerical error had saved the history of MKUltra, forcing the CIA's darkest secrets into the light. Congressional investigators concluded that the CIA had blatantly violated the Nuremberg Code, the set of ethical principles the U.S. helped establish after World War II by experimenting on citizens without their informed consent. The revelations led to new executive orders banning unconsented drug testing and sparked long legal battles for the victims and families whose lives had been permanently damaged by the project. The legacy of MKUltra remains a stark irony. In its paranoid effort to defend democracy from mind control, the CIA utilized Nazi science to inflict those very same atrocities on its own people.